The Senate will come to order. Senators will be in their seats. Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Argabright. Billinger. Blasey. Blue. Bowers. Bowser. Clays from Saline. Clays from Sedgwick. Clifford. Corson. Dietrich. Erickson. Fagg. Faust-Gudot. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Holscher. Klemp. Cluse. Masterson. Murphy. Owens. Peck. Peterson. Petty. Rose. Reichman. Schmidt. Schallenberger. Shane. Starnes. Sykes. Thomas. Thompson. Titus. Tyson. Ware. Warren.
We have a guest chaplain this afternoon, Mike Chamberlain, Pastor Emeritus from United Methodist Church in Topeka, guest of Senator Schmidt. Senators and guests, please rise and give prayerful attention to our guest chaplain.
Let us pray. Almighty and all-knowing God, giver of every good gift and wellspring of our life, our liberty, and our happiness, we thank you for the gift of life and for the gift of all the things that sustain us and bring us joy. We thank you for our freedoms and for our responsibilities. We thank you for this wonderful land in which we live and prosper. We thank you for its promise and for its potential. We stand humbled in your presence as we gather this day to turn to the privileged work of governance. We acknowledge that power and authority rest ultimately in you. We acknowledge that each of us in this chamber has been instructed in a special way, entrusted in a special way to be an earthly steward of a portion of that authority so that it might be used in true service to our neighbors and fellow citizens here in Kansas, our home on the range. As we turn to our work, open our eyes to your presence. Where we find common ground, let us celebrate and give thanks for your presence. Where we disagree, help us to speak clearly and to listen honestly, with hearts and minds always open to receive your wisdom. In all things, Lord, let us approach each moment of this day living in a way that makes apparent our love for you with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and our love for our neighbors as much as we love ourselves. Amen.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On a point of personal privilege, the Chair recognizes Senator Mashani, Senator Dietrich.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Colleagues, it's my honor to begin the recognitions of our National Guard honorees that we have with us today in the VIP gallery. I would like to recognize Technical Sergeant Rachel Pence, who lives in my district. Would you stand up for us? She began her military career with the 190th Refueling Wing at Forbes Field Air National Guard Base in June of 2016. She currently oversees all members of headquarters in regard to updating members' information, processing paperwork, and working with military programs to stay updated and current. But what's so special about Technical Sergeant Pence is that she's devoted over 90 hours of duty to the Wing's Honor Guard program. She renders honors for military funerals, change of command ceremonies, retirements, paying respects to current and past service members. She continually steps forward to fill crucial ceremonial requests, including the Kansas Joint State Conference and the Kansas National Guard Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Her support has found her covering a 20,000 square mile multi-state region surrounding Northeast Kansas, culminating in her selection as the Kansas National Honor Guard Member of the Year. Technical Sergeant Pence is accompanied today in the gallery behind us by her spouse, AJ, her parents, Tim and Angel Day. Technical Sergeant Pence's inspiration for joining the Honor Guard came from her brother, Airman First Class Andrew Day, who passed away while serving on active duty in the Air Force. Please join me in honoring the National Guard Honor Member of the Year, Technical Sergeant Rachel Pence. Mr. Vice President, I would like to yield from the Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. It's my honor today to recognize Specialist Joseph Minder, and I'll ask him to stand. Specialist Minder entered the Kansas National Guard in December 2022. He attended basic combat training and advanced individual training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, where he graduated at the top of his class, was recognized as a Distinguished Honor Graduate, and awarded the Army Achievement Medal for earning a 100% GPA. In August 2024, Specialist Minder graduated Army Air Assault School, and he's currently assigned to the 69th Troop Command. In April 2024, Specialist Minder won the Kansas Best Warrior competition against 27 other competitors, and he went on to represent Kansas in the Region 5 Best Warrior competition. There's a great video of some of the things in this competition, and it shows off not only marksmanship skills, but also highlights healthcare actions that are often provided by our National Guard members during a disaster. So in civilian life, Minder is a senior at the University of Kansas pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Business Analytics. He's actively involved in various clubs, including the National Security Club, Supply Chain Management Club, Business Analytics Club, and serves as executive board member of the Human Resources Management Club. He enjoys sports, reading, and playing the guitar. I am so pleased to be able to honor him because of his achievements, but especially because I've known him, I think, for his whole life. His parents, Rich Minder and Vicki Penner, and his grandmother, Jay Minder, are with us in the gallery. Rich, will you stand? So the family certainly has made a great contribution to our community, but I know how proud you are of Specialist Minder, and please join me, other members of the Senate, in congratulating him on this Best Warrior Award. Mr. Vice President, I would like to yield to the Senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers.
Senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. It's my honor to recognize Sergeant First Class Cody Brion. Cody entered the Kansas Army National Guard in December of 2004, attending basic combat training and advanced individual training, where he graduated as an automated logistical specialist at Fort Lee, Virginia. His military education includes Warrior Leader Course, Advanced Non-Commissioned Officer Course, Senior Leadership Course, where he earned Distinguished Honor Grad with a GPA of 99%. In April of 2010, Sergeant First Class Brion graduated Army Air Assault School. In August 2018, he graduated the Army Master Fitness Trainer course. SFC Brion is currently assigned to Bravo Company, 169th Division Sustainment Support Battalion. In April 2024, SFC Brion won the Kansas Best Warrior competition against 27 other competitors and went on to represent Kansas in the Region 5 Best Warrior competition. Sergeant First Class Brian completed an Associate of Science degree while attending Colby Community College in Colby, Kansas. Cody is actively involved in coaching various youth sports clubs, including football, wrestling, and soccer. He enjoys fitness, reading, and hunting. Sergeant First Class Brian is married to Margot of Phillipsburg, and they have four children, one daughter, Jalen, three boys, Alec, Axton, and Jet. Their family resides in Phillipsburg, Kansas, in Senate District 36, and they're up here behind me. Hi, guys. So please join me in welcoming and congratulating Cody Brian to the Kansas Senate. Mr. Vice President, I yield to the Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Clays.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm here to honor Staff Sergeant Darian Leisure. Unfortunately, she and her family couldn't make it because they were ill, as a lot of us have found that bug recently. I do want to mention that she is someone who has excelled in geospatial intelligence, focusing on analyzing imagery and full motion video, with a remarkable expertise in developing advanced analytic tools for the intelligence community. She is a distinguished leader within the automation, augmentation, and artificial intelligence and machine learning flight. She has distinguished herself by developing a comprehensive common operating picture for the Northern Command Home Defense, and she is a pivotal leader in the Unit Activity Council for the 184th. Staff Sergeant Leisure embodies the Air Force core value of excellence in all we do. And while she isn't here today, I would like to have everyone thank her for her service. Thank you, Staff Sergeant Leisure. Mr. Vice President, I would like to yield to the Senator from Harvey, Senator Owens.
Senator from Harvey, Senator Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Today we honor Master Sergeant Hunter Thurston, who is being recognized as the Outstanding Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year for the Kansas Air National Guard. As a weapons officer and command and control team lead, he developed data link architecture for the deployment to the U.S. Indo-Pacific Theater of Operations. He led 11 operators as the mission planning cell chief in support of Exercise Spartan Shield. He oversaw the execution of 8 joint fire missions and directed the certification of 4 air defense artillery fire control officers. As the point of contact across 4 active duty Air Force Reserve and Air National Guard wings, he guided integration for 20 KC-46, KC-135 integrated missions, which drove the development of the KC-46 Refueling Airborne Commander certification for crews across the Air Force. Unfortunately, Master Sergeant Thurston and his family are all ill today and unable to make it, but today we honor his service. If you would join me in doing so. Mr. Vice President, I yield back to the Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich.
Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. As you can see, we are recognizing some remarkable soldiers and airmen today. So for one last time, could we please give these individuals a Senate welcome and thank them for their service?
Thank you. You make us all very proud. Pause for a moment. Please note reference of bills on pages 1 through 3 of the calendar. Messages from the House. The clerk will read.
Announcing passage of House Bill 2085 and House Bill 2092. House Bill 2085, an act concerning livestock, and House Bill 2092, an act concerning labor and employment.
This time, I'm withdrawing Senate Bill 102 and Senate Bill 220 from the Committee on Public Health and Welfare and re-referring to the Committee on Judiciary. Withdrawing Senate Bill 57 from the Committee on Utilities and re-referring to the Committee on Ways and Means. Please see the February 11th Journal for notice from USD 489 Hayes to dispose of a school building. Chair recognizes Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of General Orders.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Chair appoints the Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage, to preside over the Committee of the Whole.
The Senate, having resolved itself into the Committee of the Whole, will now consider those items listed on the calendar under the heading of General Orders. We will now turn our attention to Senate Bill 7, and the Chair recognizes the Senator from Potawatomi, Senator Titleson, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 7 was requested by Soldier Township, that's in Shawnee County, just north of the city of Topeka. Soldier Township contains 15,000 residents, making it the largest township in the state of Kansas that are not part of a city. And the township has provided fire services since 1937 and has found themselves in a bit of a quandary as they'd like to replace their 50-year-old fire station. Due to existing law that limits the amount that can be bonded by townships, they cannot bond enough money to build a new fire station based on limits that were put into statute in the 1930s and the 1940s. So what we've done is put together a graduated bonding scale that would allow townships to increase that limit for the first time in 80 years. It would be based on the population of the township and also linked to the assessed valuation of that township. The second change is to increase the bonding amount specifically for townships that have fire stations or fire departments. Currently, if you have a fire district, you can bond up to 5% of the assessed valuation with no election. This bill would allow the townships with fire departments to bond up to 5%, and in both cases, they would require an election by the public before they could issue any bonds. There was 3 proponents that testified, myself, Representative McNorton, who represents Northern Shawnee County, and the Township Board of Trustees as well. There were no neutrals, no opponents, and I will stand for questions.
Are there questions from the Senator from Potawatomi? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports Senate Bill 7 favorably for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion has carried. We will now turn our attention to Senate Bill 36. The Chair recognizes the Senator from Montgomery, Senator Peck, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Senate Bill 36 does 2 simple things. It increases the cap on the amount of money dispersed to conservation districts through a change in the matching formula. And number 2, it changes the deadline for conservation districts to submit certification of county funding from September 1st to November 1st. A little basic information, all 105 counties have a conservation district, and each district is governed by a 5-member board made up of local citizens. Conservation districts are a one-stop shop for local landowners, farmers and ranchers, and others. The districts help persons, primarily in the ag sector, evaluate resource needs, identify potential solutions, and navigate assistance programs, whether they be private, state, or federal, available to these producers. Programs commonly administered through the conservation districts include water quality improvements, soil health and soil improvements, wildlife habitat improvements, general conservation education programs aimed at youth and adults in a community. The current match in statute is $1 of state funds for every $1 of local or county funds. Senate Bill 36 would change that from $2 of state funds, or to $2 of state funds for $1 of local funds. For every $1 of funding for the county, up to $25,000, subject to appropriations, and I think, Madam Chairman, that's kind of important to note. It is subject to appropriations. The Conservation District would get $2 of state for $1 of local. Now, this is a change in statute. However, in last year's budget bill, House Bill 2551, Section 63, there was a proviso that provided the double match for conservation districts for the current fiscal year. So Senate Bill 36 makes the change permanent in statute if we pass this legislation. Finally, according to the Kansas Department of Agriculture, 93 counties are currently at the $25 max match. So not even all counties are able to fund their conservation districts in their county at the maximum $25,000 match. With that, Madam Chairman, I'll be happy to stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Montgomery? The chair recognizes the senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers.
Jackson.
I'm sorry.
Bowser. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Bowser. I can't, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Craig.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I stand in support of Senate Bill 36. As a small farmer, I have firsthand experience with the great work that our conservation districts do around the state. You see, in my case, on my small farm, I'm in year 3 of a 4-year plan where we're installing tiles and terraces on my farm. And for those of you who aren't farmers, basically what tiles and terraces do, they conserve the soil and increase water conservation. So they're a very good thing, very beneficial. I was just in Seneca at on Thursday at the Nemaha County Water Conservation Meeting. There were 118 people that attended that water conservation meeting. Very important for that little town, very important for the county. These water conservation districts do great work throughout our state. This is a good bill. It's good for our state. It's good for our ag industry, and it benefits the environment. I urge favorable vote on Senate Bill 36. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there additional questions for the senator from Montgomery? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move when the committee arises and report, you report Senate Bill 36 favorable for passage.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion carries. We will now turn our attention to Senate Bill 84. The chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 84 is a bill designed to fight international crime right here in the U.S. What we're seeing is an organized crime effort based out of the People's Republic of China, and it is targeting the U.S. gift card industry. You may not know, but gift cards were the #1 requested holiday gift for the last 17 years in a row, and the U.S. gift card industry is expected to be $265 billion by 2028. And what we're seeing is that large retailers are the primary targets, and there's a concentration of activity in specific states. However, cells of these organized crime units are impacting geographies across the United States, typically along major interstates. And clearly, Kansas, we've got I-70, we've got I-35 here. And what the bill does is it provides a penalty and defines in law the crime of acquiring or retaining possession of a gift card or gift card information. What we're seeing is bad actors are taking the gift cards out of the stores. They're taking them to an off-site facility. They're tampering with them. They're getting the information to access the card, and then they're putting it back on the shelf in the stores. Then they can either check online, has the card been activated by someone else? Oh, there's dollars on it. I'm going to illegally use those dollars and purchase items and resell them for some profit. So the bill requires a look at, or it could be a look at, the amount of money stolen off of the cards over a 7-day time frame. So those $50 gift cards, the $200 gift cards in the aggregate, and we're seeing in organized crime, could rise to the level of quite a significant amount of dollars. So with that, Madam Chair, I will stand for any questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Johnson? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports Senate Bill 84 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion carries. We will now turn our attention to Senate Bill 5. The chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 5 is simple in that it is preventing the federal government through executive order from inserting itself into state elections. And basically, there's a lot of words in the amendment, but the bottom line is this, that no governmental agency or elected official may accept any federal money, knowingly accept or expend any money directly or indirectly from the federal government, except as provided through acts of appropriation of Congress or through the legislature. And then it goes into detail about, basically for using any of those funds for election-related activities. And that is basically it. I will stand for questions.
Are there any questions for the senator from Johnson? Didn't want to call you the wrong name. Senator from Johnson, Senator Corson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick one. I was just trying to look at the language. It looks like the new section, to me, it kind of prohibits conduct that's similar to the section above it in section C1. So I'm just trying to better understand maybe the purpose behind the legislation. I'm not on the committee, didn't get a chance to obviously participate in the hearing, but is this aimed at solving a problem that we've had in Kansas with our elections here in the state? Or maybe give me a little bit of more detail about the impetus for this legislation being necessary?
Senator Johnson, would you like to respond?
Absolutely, Madam Chair, and thank you for that question. Actually, you may recall in the 2020 election, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook dumped about $400 million into local elections in the state of Kansas that was accepted by election officials in various counties, including Johnson County. That was a private individual attempting to insert himself into the election process and how the state determines everything from voter registration to how an election is conducted. In this case, there was an executive order in 2021 from the President of the United States that did a similar deal, in that money was funneled through the various U.S. federal agencies down to the state level for use in all sorts of voter registration activities that were not overseen by the state legislature or appropriated through the acts of Congress. And so it's money that we don't have a look at when it comes, and with any presidential administration, we don't want executive orders to determine the election process here in Kansas. That's what we're here for in the legislature, Madam Chair.
Additional questions, Senator Corson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was helpful. Appreciate it.
Are there other questions for the senator from Johnson? Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My understanding, and I believe the senator from Johnson will support this, that when we heard testimony, and it was neutral testimony from the Secretary of State's office, that they indicated that they did not believe that this bill would affect funds spent on election security. Is that the case?
Senator Thompson?
Yes, and we've had discussions about that because there is federal grant money that comes down that's specified for election security, that is earmarked for election security. The bill itself, talks about money that is appropriated for elections, including security. But in some cases, there is grant money, and there's a little bit of ambiguity as to whether the bill would impact that. So obviously, that's a little bit of a concern because that federal grant money helps our law enforcement agencies in creating some election security or helping with election security issues.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you also heard that discussion as part of the committee. But because of that ambiguity and because there were still some questions, I have asked for an amendment. It's number 1249, and I've turned it in.
Do you want to explain your amendment or have it read?
I'd be happy to explain it.
Just give a moment for it to be passed out. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the senator from Johnson indicated, there have been some grants, and in particular, the Federal Emergency Management Agency has included a requirement last year that a minimum of 3% of some of their grants be expended on election security. If those funds continue to be appropriated through the Highway Patrol, they would be part of state appropriations. However, any future funds could go directly to law enforcement agencies in counties. So this amendment would simply add the statement, the provisions of this paragraph shall not apply to the receipt and expenditure of monies for election security. Be happy to stand for any questions.
Are there any questions on the amendment? Senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, in conversations with our revisor and in consultation also with the senator from Douglas, this is a friendly amendment. It doesn't impact the intent of the bill at all. In fact, it ensures the fact that our law enforcement agencies will get any of those election funds for security. And
are there other questions on the amendment? Seeing none, you may move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move my amendment.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is carried, and we are back on the bill. Are there questions for the senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports Senate Bill 5 as amended favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion has carried. The chair recognizes the majority leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is carried.
Clerk will read the committee report.
On motion of Senator Blasey, the Senate resolved itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of General Orders with Senator Gossage in the chair. Recommended Senate Bills 7, 36, and 84 be passed. Senate Bill 5 be amended on motion of Senator Francisco, and the bill be passed as amended.
Chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage.
I move we adopt the committee report.
Heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Chair recognizes Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move an emergency be declared, the rules suspended, and the following bills be advanced to final action and roll call. Senate Bill 7, Senate Bill 36, Senate Bill 84, and Senate Bill 5.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We'll hold all those for final action. And we're ready for final action. This roll call, we will take the following consent calendar bills on page 3 and 4. Senate Bill 32, Senate Bill 125, Senate Bill 135, and the bills on page 4 and 5, Senate Bill 7, Senate Bill 36, Senate Bill 84, and Senate Bill 5. Clerk will read the titles.
Senate Bill 32, an act concerning insurance. Senate Bill 125, an act concerning certain claims against the state. Senate Bill 135, an act concerning certain protection orders. Senate Bill 7, an act concerning townships. Senate Bill 36, an act concerning conservation districts. Senate Bill 84, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. And Senate Bill 5, an act concerning elections.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Argabright. Billinger. Blasey. Blue. Bowers. Bowser. Clays from Saline. Clays from Sedgwick. Clifford. Corson. Dietrich. Erickson. Fag. Fascudo. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hulsher. Klemp. Cluse. Masterson. Murphy. Owens. Peck. Peterson. Petty. Rose. Reichman. Schmidt. Schallenberger. Shane. Starnes. Sykes. Thomas. Thompson. Titus. Tyson. Ware. Warren.
Chair recognizes Senator Saline, Senator Clays.
Aye.
Does every member have an opportunity to vote? Does any senator wish to explain their vote? Does any senator wish to change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. 39 having voted in favor and none against, Senate Bill 84, Senate Bill 135, Senate Bill 32, Senate Bill 7, Senate Bill 125, and Senate Bill 36, and 33 having voted in favor and 6 against Senate Bill 5. These, having received their constitutional majority, are hereby declared passed. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill number 258 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning elections. Senate Bill number 259 by the Committee on Assessment and Taxation, an act concerning taxation. Senate Bill number 260 by the Committee on Ways and Means, an act concerning pari-mutuel wagering. Senate Bill number 261 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning alcoholic beverages. Senate Bill number 262 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning eminent domain. Senate Bill number 263 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning schools. Senate Bill number 264 by the Committee on Ways and Means, an act concerning public assistance. And Senate Concurrent Resolution number 1612 by the Committee on Ways and Means, a proposition to amend Article 11 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas by adding a new section thereto.
This constitutes introduction of Senate Bill 258 through Senate Bill 264 and Senate Concurrent Resolution 1612. Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Mr. President, the Committee on Ways and Means recommends Senate Bill 2 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Mr. President, the Committee on Education recommends Senate Bill 50 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends Senate Bill 58 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Mr. President, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends Senate Bill 89 be passed and, because the committee is of the opinion that the bills of a non-controversial nature be placed on the consent calendar. Mr. President, the Committee on Assessment and Taxation recommends Senate Bill 26 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Mr. President, the Committee on Transportation recommends Senate Bill 113 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance recommends Senate Bill 64 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Local Government, Transparency, and Ethics recommends Senate Bill 104 be passed and, because the committee is of the opinion that the bills of a non-controversial nature be placed on the consent calendar. Mr. President, the Committee on Government Efficiency recommends Senate Bill 79 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Mr. President, the Committee on Federal and State Affairs recommends Senate Bill 137 be passed and, because the committee is of the opinion that the bills of a non-controversial nature be placed on the consent calendar.
Are there announcements? Chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Due to the weather pushing our state business back a bit this week, the Bob Bethel Joint Committee that was originally scheduled for this Friday afternoon will be rescheduled to Friday, February 21st from 8:30 to noon. Thank you.
Senator recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The latest updates on the computer models give us anywhere from about, here in the Topeka area, 4 to 7 inches of snow, still beginning prior to daybreak tomorrow morning, and then piling up pretty quickly during the day. Kansas City area is about the same, and slightly lighter amounts southeast Kansas. So still looks like a significant snowstorm, but for those of us who hate shoveling snow, it's not going to be quite as deep as it appeared yesterday. Everybody be safe. Catch a flight to the Bahamas. It'll all be fine. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Chair recognizes Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Senate Tax Committee will not meet tomorrow.
Senator from Meade, Senator Reichman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Legislative Bible Study tomorrow will not meet. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Senate Commerce Committee will meet by WebEx tomorrow, so we'll be by WebEx at 1:30.
Chair recognizes Senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Local Government, Transparency, and Ethics tomorrow will not meet.
Chair Chair recognizes Senator Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate Judiciary Committee will meet tomorrow via WebEx. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Senate Government Efficiency and Education Committees will meet via WebEx tomorrow. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Johnson, Senator Gossage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Public Health and Welfare will meet via WebEx tomorrow.
Chair recognizes Senator Sherman, Senator Billinger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate Ways and Means will meet tomorrow, WebEx, and if anybody makes it in here, you can come in the committee room. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Chair recognizes Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. As you can tell by the announcements, the Senate will not be meeting tomorrow due to the weather. So I ask everybody to stay safe and stay warm. I think many of the committees are meeting via WebEx. And just a reminder for the Senate, in the Senate, we do not take action or votes via WebEx. So it'll be just bill hearings. Just a reminder for everybody who may have forgotten how we did that during the COVID era. With that, Mr. Vice President, I move the Senate adjourn until 2:30 on Thursday, February 13th, 2025.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.